Today on the We Invested podcast, we have Anmol Singh, the founder of Live Traders. Anmol, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining. Before we get started, would you mind just letting the people know how they can find you on the internet, whether it's your social media or your website?
Definitely. So the website is livetraders.com. And for me on Instagram and Twitter at Delta90, DELTANINETY.
Awesome, man. So let's just jump right in and start from the beginning and talk a little bit about, where you're from and where you grew up.
Definitely. So I was born and raised in India. And then when I was 18, I always above my monitor had pictures of New York City skyline. And I had all those things that I wanted as a child. So that was always my goal. So at 18, I left India. Moved to London for a bit because I couldn't get into any college in the US. So went to London instead, spent like about 5 years roughly there. And then 2015 is when I finally moved over to New York.
Man, that's incredible. I mean, you mentioned that you grew up in India, but you spent time in London, you spent time in New York. What are some lessons that you've learned or some uh philosophies or ideas that you picked up from just living in these different parts of the world?
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to, move and go to a different country from where they are, even a different state or city from where they're born. I personally think it builds a lot of character. Like growing up, I was a complete introvert, really shy kid, always on my Xbox, didn't really want to talk to anybody. So moving out of the country was a way of for me to kind of reinvent myself. I said, "Hey, I'm going to move to a new country. Nobody knows me, nobody knows my past. I can be whoever I want to be and I can create myself." So I use it as an opportunity to almost just start fresh. I think that's the biggest lesson I learned is when you have a fresh start, you could be whoever you want to be.
Absolutely, man. And I was on TikTok and saw this video, stumbled across this video, and it was saying something along the lines of, you have to create this what do they call it? Like an alternate version, like a different persona of yourself, like a superhero version of yourself, and then you go and turn into that and become that, and that's how you become successful and reach the heights that you want to reach. And it kind of reminded me of what you just said. So I think that's like super accurate and pretty cool at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And I also would take it even further. I think people like we inside know who we really are. Like who we
Hmm.
really want to be. We kind of already know it. But it's like there's something stopping us from being that. Oh, what are people going to think? Either the imposter syndrome or whatever it is, or people start thinking, who am I to be that version, right? But we all know deep inside who we really want to be. So it's just more so giving yourself the permission to be like, from this moment onwards, this is who I'm going to be. And then just become that person.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And just transitioning and talking a little bit more about this company that you've grown and built and expanded. Um, I want to ask, what is Live Traders?
Yeah, definitely. So, when I started trading, I had a mentor, Jared Wesley, who taught me how to trade the stock market. At that time, I was still in a dorm room. I was 18 years old, and he was teaching me how to trade. And he's a much, older gentleman than I am. So he took me under his wing, taught me how to trade, and then I just started trading for his company from my dorm room from 18 to like 2021. So then in 2015, that company that we were working for got bought out by another company. So I hit up my mentor. I was like, "Hey, are you part of the new organization?" He's like, "Nah, I'm not really sure." And I called him. I'm like, "Why don't we team up and we start Live Traders? Because you already taught me. Like, I'm already your case study right here. Leave the online stuff to me. I'll handle the business side. You teach people how to trade, and let's build this thing together." And then in 2015, that's how we started as a way to teach other traders how to get involved in the markets and showing them the good and the bad. Because online, the problem is everybody is such an amazing trader. They're great
Right.
marketers, but are they really traders? We never know. And that was one of our way. That's why we call it live traders, is because we trade live every single day. Win or lose, people will see it on the live stream. So I think that was the one way for us to show people actually how it's done.
Absolutely, man. And I think that's like a dope business model and a different approach to it because just adding that extra layer of transparency. A lot of people do want to hide or like don't want to talk about when they have like a negative day or whatever the case may be, but just showing the viewers, your clients, your students, like what's real and what to really expect. I feel like that builds a certain level of trust, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And majority of our clients that have been with us since we started in 2015 are still with us now. So I think that says a lot, because our goal is to actually teach them how to trade, right? And cut behind everything. And here's how it's done. So I spend more time talking about my losing trades and why I lost, what could I have done better. Then I talk about or brag about what I'm winning on. And I think people really appreciate that, and then they can see that that's where the benefit really lies.
Absolutely, man. So how did you get started in this industry? Like what was that initial spark for you that caught your attention and made you want to turn this into a career?
Yeah, so I was in college, and then in college in London, they had a program where you had to get an internship about year two or year three before you could finish or graduate. And there was a time where I was just filling out applications, and just not getting any callbacks, no interviews, no internships. And I started applying for all the big banks, didn't get in anywhere. Then I even applied to startup companies, and I didn't get a single job, single internship, nothing. And I saw all my friends getting $100,000 job right out of college, and here I was thinking, wow, I just spent all this money all the way from India, and I'm probably going to graduate with an honors degree, but I can't even find a single internship. And that's when it dawned on me that I have to pretty much do something. I have to figure something out. And I was an introvert, obviously, always on my computer or Xbox. So I've wanted to find something that I can do from my computer, that I don't have to have that social anxiety of interacting with people. So that's why I started researching things to do online, and trading caught my attention, caught my eye. There's actually a guy in my college who was talking to me about investing, and I was like, "Oh, you don't know me. I'm horrible at math. I could never do that." He's like, "But it's interesting. Let's try to learn." So in our college, what we noticed was we had societies for everything. If you're a boxer, there's a boxing society. If you're a footballer, there's a football society. There was no such thing as a trading or investing society. So I actually started that in my university, and that still exists till now, which is great. I was a founding member of that. We started it, and that's how we used to meet, 10, 15 of us guys. We just meet and talk about investing or talk about the books we've read, and that's how the spark was ignited.
Oh, that's fire. And I mean, it must be an incredible feeling to see something that you created and helped get started still alive and around and thriving today at at the college that you attended and graduated from.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, because I didn't even know it existed until just a few months ago, when I saw a Facebook thing on the alumni group pop up, and people were posting of their investing society. I'm like, wow, we were just 5 or 10 guys, and now it's like a full thing filled up with 50, 100 people. I was like, this is amazing. So yeah, it was a great feeling for sure.
Absolutely, man. So, what is the biggest investing or trading mistake that people should look out for and try to avoid?
The biggest mistake is just you have to get yourself out of the way, because there's two human emotions, fear and greed, that really control most investors and traders returns and decisions, and why they do what they do. So getting yourself out of the way and looking at things objectively rather than emotionally is the biggest difference maker. So an example of that would be, people get into a stock, it's going down, and rather than getting out and taking a small loss, they just keep holding. Maybe they buy more. Let's lower my average cost. Just keeps going. They have no plan. So it's buy and hold that Warren Buffett talks about ends up becoming buy and hope. That's what people end up doing. Maybe it'll come back up one day. But you don't want to trade on maybes. You don't want to build a career on maybes. You want to have a system that tells you what you need to do. And then same thing on the way up. Stocks are going up. You said, okay, I'm going to buy the stock, let's say at $90. If it goes to 120, that's where my target is. Now it gets to your target of 120, but you're like, maybe it'll go to 150 now. And then you just never sell it. And the money is really made when you exit something, not by holding something, which is the wrong thing being taught online these days, like hodl or just hold on for dear life. The money's made on the sell, not on when you hold on to something. So that's the biggest mistake, is not having a plan of what they're going to do. You don't enter a business without a business plan. Why would you enter a trade or investment without a trading or investing plan?
Absolutely, man. And that's a really difficult concept, I feel like, for a lot of people to grasp. You know what I'm saying? Because like if you see that stock running and you're thinking like, okay, I can become a millionaire, I can retire, or I can do whatever. And it's really easy to get like caught up in the emotional side of it. Cause that's the biggest most unpredictable side to investing is the behavioral aspect of it. And when you add human beings into the mix of, something that's pretty formulaic, it can get really tricky.
Yeah, and I think that is the only difference maker because, like learning how to trade or invest is not that hard. Like I can teach somebody how to trade or invest in a weekend, but then getting them to actually do it is a whole different ballgame because I can only, as they say in the Matrix, Neo, I can only show you the door, but you must be the one who has to walk through it. Same
Right.
thing with trading. Like I can teach somebody how to trade, but then they have to still grab this mouse and push the button. They still have to do all those things, and also knowing when not to press it, when to let it go, because a lot of times, sometimes people get out too soon, and then they end up going to where they thought they would go to, but they got out way too soon, and then you start revenge trading because you try to get it back or you try to make that lost money back, and those things have messed up more people's careers than anything else. And I'll be the first one to say, first year of my trading, I lost money all year, the whole year. I lost money because I had no idea what I was doing. I thought buying or selling something makes me a trader, but there's a whole different thing that goes into it.
Man, I mean, and it sells a lot though, about your character and perseverance to lose money for an entire year, but still have the belief to keep going and still see some sort of like vision or have some sort of like a sense of hope, man. So how was that moment for you, like fighting through those losses in that tough first year?
So I think the good part was when I started trading, I was in dorm room. So even though I was losing money, it was not a lot, like because you didn't have a lot of money to lose. So that was one good thing that I did. I didn't come from like a lot of money, or I didn't have a trust fund or anything that I could lose big amounts of money. For me, it was whatever a little few $1,000 I had, I lost it, which at that time was a lot for me because I came from India. So I would do the math of conversion in my head. I'm like, ooh, that many rupees I lost. So,
Right.
the getting over that hurdle was really, really important. But that is the biggest thing that people need to master is your emotions, your psychology. And the reason I was able to get through it is because I said I had a mentor and he'd already been doing it at that point for like 15 years, right? When I found him. So I'm like, if he's doing it, like there's no reason why I can't do it. Like if other people are doing it in the firm had hundreds of traders. I'm like, they're all doing really well. So then if I don't do it, it's on me. So then I was like, I have to do it. And I think realizing that the strategies and the techniques were working, I was in my own way. The winning positions, I was get out too soon. The losing positions, I kept on holding on to them. So I said, if I just eliminate those things and get out on my losers in time, get on my winners, hold them for the target that it was, then naturally I would make money. And that's kind of what let me, kept me going. The grit.
Absolutely. What do you think of fundamental analysis versus technical chart analysis when it comes to trading and investing?
So I think when it comes to trading, a fundamental doesn't have any place when it comes to trading. When it comes to investing, then yes, fundamentals do come into place. So trading, we're trying to do as traders is taking advantage of the volatility, the swings, the ups and downs. So if you're looking at a company's fundamentals or what the CEO is going to do, it doesn't matter what the stock's going to do in the next 5 minutes. It, nothing to do with it, right? Or then what's the stock going to do in the next 2 weeks? Fundamentals take years to decades to play out. So when it comes to trading, I don't look at fundamentals at all. Not even I don't. Sometimes I don't even know the name of the company I'm trading. It's just the ticker symbols. So because we were looking at the charts and the technical patterns. When it comes to investing, though, when you plan on holding something for minimum 3 to 5 years, then yeah, you got to make sure you're buying a good company that's still going to be around in the next 5, 10 years. But even then, I use technicals to get into those positions. So example would be this December when the markets were down last December 35%. I made a list. Okay, these are all the companies that I like that I would love to buy. But then I went on my chart and I technically waited for them to come down to my levels before I started buying. So that would be a combination of fundamentals and investors. Both have their place. Technical. If I had to pick one, though, I would rely on technical solely.
Absolutely. And so it sounds like the technical analysis focuses a little bit more on the momentum of the stock and of what you're trading.
Yeah, and also the cycles, because cycles tend to repeat
Mm.
itself over and over and over again. I can show you exact same patterns and exact same charts play out on things like Bitcoin, stocks, even orange juice, oil, natural gas, uranium. I can show the exact same patterns on all these same charts, and they tend to repeat itself because charts are basically just two primary human emotions, fear and greed. That's all we're trying to decode. And stocks or any chart can only do three things. It could either go up, either it could go down, either it could go sideways. When you simplify it like that, there's only three things that can happen. Then all you got to do is just get the odds in your favor so you know which direction you're picking. So yeah, fundamentals do have a place, but technicals are far superior, at least from my style.
Absolutely. You mentioned that in December of 2022, you were creating a list of stocks that you were interested in investing in, I believe, for the long term. How do stocks that you're interested in investing in usually cross your radar? How do you locate these stocks that you have interest in?
So when it comes to investing, I don't try to take speculative risks. Like I don't have any penny stocks or any random companies that you haven't heard of in my portfolio. Majority of my investments are proper big cap stocks like Amazon, Google, Tesla, Microsoft. The only thing that I do technically is I buy them correctly, because half the game, half the battle is knowing when to buy. Because think about it, 10 people we get in a group, we could all be in the exact same stock at the exact same time, but our returns will be vastly different based on where we bought and where we sold. We could be in the exact same things. So I try to time my trades correctly based on technicals, and that kind of what gives me the edge. And majority of the stocks that I'm in are stocks that everybody's heard of, like Google, Amazon, Tesla, Boeing, FedEx, Coinbase. So I try to build a portfolio of at least 20 stocks. So it's not just that all my bucket is, all my money's in one stock. I would allocate accordingly. Now, some might have a higher allocation, like I would put more money in Google and Tesla than I would, let's say, on a Coinbase. So that's kind of the allocation comes in.
Online stats said that 90% of traders lose money. Is that true?
I think that statistic is absolutely not true. And the reason for that is pretty simple. The study was done by a brokerage firm, number one. And then brokerage firm, all they've done is they took all of the accounts that the brokerage firm had and they just did the math, who's making money, who's not making money. But as we all know, trading is more than just opening a brokerage account, right? Being a professional trader is more than just opening an account. Anybody can open an account. My mom and my dad have a brokerage account. Does that make them a trader? No, but they would be counted in that statistic. So that's why it's the incorrect statistic, because buying a button, pushing a button doesn't make you a trader. So if the research was done on how many traders actually spend at least 2 years studying and learning their craft, they've gone through programs, they have mentors, how many of them make it? And I'll tell you, we do a survey pretty much every single quarter and in our community, and 70% of traders are making money. So that statistic is absolutely completely false.
Absolutely. So what is one action step that people can take to be more productive, in life?
I think when it comes to life is, there's two things that you have to prioritize things. You can't do everything. Like I want to do everything. I want to start my ETF. I want to start a hedge fund. I want to do all these things, but then you have to prioritize. So you take a list of tasks that you have. So the first thing that I do for being more productive in life is I'll write down all the things that I need to do. There's no order, just write them all down, right? All the things you need to get done. And then you assign priority level to them. A priority level of 1 means you have to do it today. Priority level of 2 means you have to do it this week. Priority level of 3 means it has to be done this month. So then you take your massive list that you wrote down for all the things you need to do, you just write down 1, 2s, and 3s next to each of those tasks. Then you arrange them in order. Now that you have them in order, pretty much simple. Open up Google Calendar and start scheduling it. Right? Put it in the calendar and it will happen. If it's not scheduled, it's not going to happen.
I like that concept, man. And I'm trying to get better at using my Google Calendar too, man. I got to get better at scheduling out my life for sure. You mentioned that live traders, this is something you've been, working on and expanding for years. How did you focus on gaining your business acumen, finding the right business model that worked for you, understanding marketing? How did you focus on learning these different aspects of running a successful business?
So, obviously I did graduate with a business honors degree, from University in London, but I didn't learn anything there. I don't remember anything I learned in college. All of the things that I learned are just things I learned as I went on, there was I think a lot of people spend too much time thinking, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? What am I doing to do this? They start taking courses, they start learning all these things. And then I'm like, but just try it, do something. Like, do something. And you know what? If it doesn't work, you'll find out instantly it doesn't work. So you can move on to the next thing. A lot of times people spend like a whole year strategizing, this is what they're going to do. And then when they finally do it, it doesn't work. Now they just wasted a whole year. So I try to just, as they say, you know, there's a pretty popular, I think, I don't know who said it in personal development, but it was like, just fail fast. So that's kind of how I live by. Is I just try to do it because I'm going to find out instantly whether it works or not. So a lot of the business acumen or any experience that I have was just trial and error. Let's try this. Oh, didn't work. Okay, team, what can we do? Let's try this one. Oh, that didn't work either. Great. Let's try this. Or who can I reach out to? Who can I pay? Who's already done what I'm trying to do? Let's pay them for an hour. Let's talk to them. I think that is a lost art. Back in the day, people would take people out for lunches all the time. That's how you met and networked and grew your network, is by taking people out for lunches and coffees and dinners. It's a lost art. So I did that. When I got to New York, I didn't know anybody. I messaged everybody on LinkedIn. Hey, I'd love to pick your brain, you know, in this trading industry. And I got invited to the New York Stock Exchange if I was this guy, right? So that's how you meet people and you build your network.
Absolutely, man. And how beneficial has that network been, you know, for you since you started building it?
Everything. I mean, everything, because somebody in the network has already made the mistake that you're about to make. So they can just save you all this time and headache. So I'm still in a lot of different mastermind groups. There's a traders mastermind. There's a hedge fund mastermind that I'm in. Then there's a business mastermind that I'm in. Of all different sorts of areas of my life that I'm in, and it's really important actually to have a support group like this, especially if you have a business, you know, that you're working from home. Because I don't have colleagues, you know, like I do, but they all work remotely also. So I don't have peers or people in your office. So you have to build your own network, especially if you're somebody who's working from home.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's an interesting concept. So, what do you feel has been the most effective way for you to get the word out about your business? Has it been, you know, you have a impressive social media following and online presence, but from what I've seen, word of mouth is always, you know, like the leading marketing source. So, what's worked best for you?
You know, in terms of social media, there's nothing better than YouTube, hands down. Like, we've tried everything, we've done everything, and all of my other social media channels grew because of YouTube. You know, like you grow your YouTube first, and then it feeds into your other social medias, is where people end up finding you. So having, you know, some good quality videos that really tell your story is really important. But then more so, really delivering on your promise. Because guess what? If you put up amazing content and you get all the people coming to you, but then they come to you and it turns out your product is not that great, your service is not that great, you don't deliver the results you claim to promise, then you're not going to last very long, right? You might make a quick burst of income, but then it'll go away. So you have to deliver on your promises, and that's what keeps people. Retention. Any good measurement, because I'm also an angel investor, have 32 different other startup companies that I'm an investor in. The biggest key is having the lifetime value of the customer so that they keep coming back to you for a reason. And if you're delivering on the promises, why wouldn't they come back? And rather than just trying to sell something once, try to, you know, have them as part of your community, that they're regularly in your community. So, and I think that's really important to have. And that's, to your point, that's where word of mouth really comes in, is when you're delivering on the promises, they're gonna be excited to tell their friends and family about it.
Absolutely, man. So, you know, you invest your time, um, educating yourself and educating others. You invest your time creating valuable pieces of content. You invest in stocks and hold them long term. You also trade. So, you know, I want to hear what your thoughts are on cryptocurrency and you know, your opinions on that asset class.
Yeah, totally. I think cryptocurrency is just still very, 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 very early. It's pretty much like the early stages of internet. You know, when internet came out, AOL used to be the most popular website, right? They came first. They were the most innovative. It was the best website. And then came better, faster versions of that with MSN, then came Yahoo, and then came, even later, came Google, that completely blew everybody out of the water. And now the original people or the original companies don't exist anymore. So the same thing I think is going to play out in the cryptocurrency landscape in the next 5 years. Where Bitcoin, I would compare that to the AOL. Bitcoin's like the AOL, and now watch how many comments I get about this. So Bitcoin's like the AOL of the cryptocurrency, where they were the first, they were innovative, yes, but then eventually faster, better technology is going to come, and it's going to completely wipe away Bitcoin. So I think that's kind of my view on the cryptocurrency landscape. Still very early, but it's definitely here to stay. It's not going back. You can't put the cat back in the bag again. So the cryptocurrencies that I'm looking at, again, it's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but there's only one cryptocurrency I'm invested in, and it's called Algorand.
Shout out to Algorand, man. Shout out to Algorand. I know there are a few different companies that I've talked with, I think, that are building their companies based on that I don't know, what do you call it, that blockchain or whatever the case may be. But yeah, man, one thing I like about Algorand and I appreciate about it, if I'm not mistaken, Coinbase gives you the ability to stake Algorand. And I'm a big fan of passive income. So anytime I can earn some money passively, like, yeah, you can count me in.
Yeah, and even better than Coinbase, if you go on DeFi websites like Folks Finance, you can get 15% on the governance program. So that's there. And then there's so many different things you can do with it. Lofty AI, you can invest in fractional real estate. I mean, that's
Yeah,
huge. I think people
yeah.
aren't still sleeping on this. And in the 5 years, it'll catch up. I mean, currently I'm in a Wharton Business School in their cryptocurrency landscape, and all the academics agree on that. So I think it's just people are sleeping on it right now. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident I'm going to look back in a few years and be happy about that.
Absolutely, man. The tokenization of real estate, man, is gonna change the world for sure. But I want to ask, at this point in your career, how do you define success as an entrepreneur?
So I think my definition of success has morphed and changed over time. Obviously when I was broke, my success definition was making a lot of money. And then you make that, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm still not where I thought I would be. My health is a mess, or my relationships are not that great. Is that really success? Then it's not success, right? So
Right.
success for me, the way I define it, is having success in each and every area of your life, which could be health, your relationships, your community, your business, your finances. Like when everything is together, that's what I call true success. Like having the harmony of it. I think there was a great book on this, Harmonic Wealth, by James Arthur, and it's like harmonizing everything, right? Harmony between your different areas of your life: spirituality, your wealth, your money, your business, your community, your relationships. I think that's really, really important. And because I can tell you for a fact, when I made my first $1 million, yeah, I was super excited when I finally made it. But then at the end of it, I'm like, well, but I didn't build my social life as such, or I was not in my best shape of my, I was super unhealthy. So I was like, is that really success, Anmol? And I was like, well, it's not really, so it's creating success in all areas of your life, and then enjoying the journey as you get there.
Exactly. So, I mean, to make $1 million or to become incredibly successful at something, it takes a certain amount of like focus, even obsession, some people would say. So how did you focus on like creating that balance where you work on your social life and where you focus on being healthier or building better relationships? Like, how do you focus on creating that balance but still reaching those heights professionally?
So yeah, I think the best thing is you don't try to create balance, because the moment we try to
Mm,
create balance, we're already saying unconsciously that everything's unbalanced. It's imbalanced. So we're trying to create it. So that's already admitting in a way defeat. So one of my mentors, he taught me, and he said, hey, it's not about balance. Try creating harmony between everything, right? So harmony between your business, harmony between your social life, harmonize everything, trying not trying to balance it. So I think that's the biggest thing. The moment you try to balance it, well, things will feel unbalanced. So, and that will throw you off course. And to your other point, yeah, you need to have a strong desire, and that desire cannot just be monetary. If it's just a monetary desire, it's not going to last, because when things get tough, you're not going to go on. You're going to give up at the first sign of weakness. So every successful entrepreneur that I've personally met, there's a chip on their shoulder in a way to either prove something to somebody. It starts off there. Now it doesn't need to always be like that, right? As you get successful, now you got to, morph and change and do it for yourself rather than doing it for others. But growing up for me, it was, I felt like, hey, I'm not who I am. I'm not my full potential. People underestimate me. And it was the early life was all about just proving people wrong. And, I'm at a different point now, but that's how it started for me.
That's so true, man. It's like it's a good motivator. It's a great fuel to have, but like at some point, like you said, man, you got to evolve and find a different type of fuel source to keep pushing and to keep going. What does the future of live traders look like to you?
I think the future of live traders, the way I see it now, is I definitely love doing what I do every day during the live stream. It's like, just enjoy it. I wake up every day morning for it. But the future would be that we're now starting to build technologies. So we have our own software that connects to people's brokerage account, and it manages the trade based on the algorithms that we've built. So a lot of people who are newer, who can manually do all the things we're teaching them, the software just does it. So we trying to create like AI based trading. So we already have that. So we're moving into that direction now. And then next step would be to get some of our students, which we're coaching and training. And once they hit a certain level, I want them to be the coaches and train other people and continue this forward. So live traders, it's not about me or my business partner. It's about the community that we built and then taking over the reins of the company down the line.
Absolutely. Anmol, thank you so much for your time today, man. I enjoyed our conversation and I enjoyed getting a chance to pick your brain, man. So,
No, definitely. It was
thank you for
great
your
chatting with
time.
you. Yeah, it was great chatting with you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.